I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through, I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling out my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go, the only thing that I know. You were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. Why do you feel that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity. I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not.
Warning. The Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here as we prepare for qualifying for race number 28 of Season 7 of the NNSCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. We are here at Chatham Raceway. We were at the paved version 1 season ago. This season, we are at the dirt track. Dirt road course racing here this weekend with just the Cup drivers. We'll see the lights drivers next week in the doubleheader at Nashville Super Speedway. But coming off the heels of last week's playoff opener at Gateway, which saw several drivers get their playoffs off to a good start in preparation for this middle race of the first round, but also saw some drivers that didn't fare so well and find themselves in a bit of a deficit behind that 12th in the standings cut line, which is the criteria you have to be either at or above to move on to the next round of the playoffs. Matthew Rodriguez with the victory last week, his third on the season, second with a different manufacturer, and he is locked in to the round of 12 regardless of what happens tomorrow afternoon here at Chatham or next week at Nashville Super Speedway. I believe by my last count, 46 drivers are attempting to qualify for 42 spots here this week. We'll see the non-charter drivers vying for those two available positions. In the second group, we're looking here at our first group. 23 drivers in this first group, all chartered machines that will be a part of the show tomorrow. And Cole Deaver, first one out. And he will be the first one to put a lap time down the board at a 41.303. Top 5, fastest 5 from this session will move on to run for the pole with the other 5 fastest drivers from the upcoming second group here in this first round. And pretty much from 6th on down here, at least for this group, will determine where drivers will start in the lineup. Last week at Gateway, it wasn't necessarily a track position type race. There were plenty of opportunities for drivers that qualified poorly or towards the rear of the field to be able to work their way up through the running order. But I feel like tomorrow, this race may be very much so about track position. Yes, it is a dirt track in regards to the type of race it will see, but it also is a road course, and most road courses usually put an emphasis on track position. Jesse Turner and the 47, we mentioned about drivers that did not get the best of performances last week and would find themselves below the cut line coming into this race. Turner is one of those drivers. Jesse Turner comes into this race 14th in the playoff points. He is currently a total of only 3 points below that 12th in the standings cut line, though, so a good run tomorrow could put him back up into a conversation of moving on into the next round. There's Matthew Rodriguez, last week's winner. Locked into the round of 12 after his third victory on the season, tying him with Connor Breton, Casey Hoyt, and James Qualls for most wins on the year. And Rodriguez in his third start with Northeast Motorsports. We'll see him for 2 more weeks in that ride. Then we'll probably see him back over at Haas Racing for the close of the season. Rob Evans, regular season champion. He is 11th in overall points coming into this one. He is right now 1 measly point ahead of the cut line, 12th in the standings. Rob Evans still looking for that first checkered flag of his career. Now he does have a victory in a non-charter capacity at a road course. That was back in season 4 at Indianapolis Road Course. This is obviously a much different road course. It's not paved, but you gotta wonder if this might be the venue where tomorrow we'll see Rob Evans get his first career win. Former champion Caleb Fogler, right now P7 on the charts. He actually just ran 1,000 slower than his fastest lap of a 40.607. Caleb Fogler coming into this race currently in the 7th position in the point standings. He is 8 points ahead of the 12th in the standings cut line. It's super close from about 4th in the standings down to 15th in points. I believe they're only separated by 17 points, so a lot of moving and shaking can take place depending on how tomorrow afternoon's race goes. Destin Bolin had a great run last week at Gateway, jumped up to 6th in overall points coming into this one, though still not out of the woods yet, only 9 points ahead of that 12th in the standings cut line. Keith Batson looked like he was going to have a really strong outing last week, but had an issue, it appeared, a slower final pit stop for him. He did manage, however, to still gain spots in the standings. He is 8th in overall points coming into this weekend's race. He's 6 points ahead of the 12th in the standings cut line. Levi McIntyre looking for his 2nd win on the season after his victory earlier on this year at Pocono. Of course, we've already documented about the fact he wasn't high enough in the point standings for his Pocono win to count towards a wild card spot. Right now, though, Levi McIntyre looking very fast here in Chatham. He is top of the board at a 40.151 over Chris Dollerton, Casey Hoyt, James Qualls, and Austin LaPlante. That's your current Fast 5 with 8 3/4 minutes left to go. Will Goss, 2-time winner on the season. Right now he is 18th on the speed charts. Will coming into this race 16th in the overall points after he suffered a DNF last week, involved in that big wreck that brought out the first caution. Will is currently scored 10 points below the 12th in the standings cut line. And here is your cut line driver, James Qualls, 3-time winner on the season, who currently sits 5th on the board. He just took that 5th spot from Austin LaPlante by 3 1/1000ths with a 40.404. Error 404, I guess you could say. Qualls is that cut line driver, 12th in the standings. He's only 1 point behind 11th, only 2 points ahead of 13th coming into this weekend. Cody Lamas, right now 4th on the board, currently holding on to a spot that would move on into the Fast 5 to run for the pole later on. Cody coming into this one 26th in overall points, still looking for that first victory, trying to end that long winless streak ever since he made the move over to the single car entry at Llama Racing. Mitchell Collins, currently 21st in points. Collins dropped 3 spots in standings last week after a hard luck run at Gateway. Looking to bounce back, just ran his fastest lap of a 40.752, but that's only good enough for 19th on the board right now of the 23 drivers that have taken time. Casey Hoyt, 9 points behind Matthew Rodriguez, who is already locked into the show, so Casey Hoyt would technically be the highest driver in the playoffs not yet locked in, 2nd in overall points. He's going to come to pit road after he just put down the fastest lap of the session so far at a 40.126. Casey Hoyt was already in the top 5 in the 3rd position, so that did not change James Qualls from being on the bubble spot. Chris Dollerton right now is 3rd on the board at a 40.222. Chris Dollerton coming to this one 20th in overall points. Still looking for that first victory of the season for him. Looking for Blue Oval Automotive's second win of the season. So far, only Caleb Fogler has been the driver to go to victory lane for that team. RJ Bishop had a strong outing last week at Gateway. Looked really, really good up inside of the top 5, pretty much the top 3 most of that entire afternoon. Gained 2 spots and stands up to 29th in overall points, but apparently they have not brought the speed here this week because he is 23rd on the board. That is last of all the drivers that have taken time at a 40.889. So looking to pick up a little bit more speed here in these final 5.5 minutes. Austin LaPlante, 9th in overall points coming into this one. Austin is a total of 4 points above the cut line. LaPlante was in that kind of conglomerate of 4 drivers that were 12th through 15th in the running order last week at Gateway. And that's after he did not have a very good qualifying effort. So, good job of picking up spots, gaining positions, gaining points. LaPlante trying to get his first win on the season still. Was one of the 4 drivers that made it into the playoffs via top 10 in points, but did not have a checkered flag to fall back on. Dylan Young, 13th in overall points. He's the first driver below the cut line, 2 points behind James Qualls. Dylan Young finishing way down in the running order last week at Gateway after damage that he received from one of the earlier crashes. Right now, Dylan Young sits 8th on the board, not in the Fast 5, but would have pretty decent starting track position. This would be 15th starting spot if he were to remain where he is right now, but looking to pick up a little bit more here as we get closer to the end of the session. There's Michael Norman. Now, Michael Norman was a 3-time winner last year, and one of his victories was at a road course. That was at Lime Rock, which we'll be going to later on here in the playoffs. So keep an eye on Michael tomorrow afternoon, especially with the fact that, as you see, he does not have the Duracell copper banner, spoiler, or splitter. He's not battling for the championship this season, so a lot of pressure off him in some regard to be able to go out there, be aggressive, and try and get that checkered flag. Michael comes into this one 18th in overall points. That would be the highest in point standings of drivers that are not in the playoffs. Just ran his fastest lap that last time by at a 40.507. That has him 11th on the charts. Let's see if he improves here this time by. No, he does not. Runs slower at a 40.955. Reese Banks, last driver to get into the playoffs via top 10 in points. Didn't have any bonus points for a victory to add to his total when the points were reformatted, and was one of 2 playoff drivers last week that did not reach the conclusion of the Gateway race, finishing out of the race. Will Goss, we documented, was the other one. Reese Banks, though, because of the fact he didn't have those bonus points, he is in a bit of a situation. He definitely can come out of the deficit that he's been dug into, but he is 17th of the 17 playoff drivers, and he is currently sitting a total of 21 points out of the 12th position in overall standing. So he will definitely need a good run here tomorrow, or else he will be going into the elimination race at Nashville Superspeedway next week in a must-win situation in order to advance. Benjamin Miles, right now 14th on the board in the 25 car. Benjamin Miles with a great run last week after he started in the final row of the lineup at Gateway. Gained 3 spots in the standings as a result. Still looking for that first top 5, though. As is Cole Deaver, they still have not yet broken into the top 5 category. But Miles is 37th in overall points coming into this week's race. Ryan Brommer had a really good run last week, up in the top 10 the second half of that race. As a result, Ryan Brommer gained 2 spots, stays up to 32nd, looking to continue that momentum this week. Right now, though, he sits 19th on the speed charts. Dylan Poteet, another of our playoff drivers. Poteet coming into this one 5th in overall points. He's 11 points to the good over the cut line. He was up inside the top 15 after last week's opener. Right now, though, he sits 11th on the board, battling here with Will Goss, trying to get by him through the S's. Plates on the racetrack that I feel a lot of the passing is going to take place tomorrow afternoon. Anthony McCurry, another driver, had a great run last week, finishing up inside of the top 10. He's up in the top 10 all day long after he qualified there as well. Anthony up 4 spots in the standings, up to 22nd in points, and the Mazdas have seemed to come alive here ever since the playoffs began. We saw Nick Gunther go to victory lane at Auto Club in the regular season finale, and Anthony's finishes have been kind of up and down, but we're seeing a little bit more consistency out of him. Nick Gunther, I thought, was going to have a great run last week as well, but I think the team struggled on the final round of green flag pit stops, and so he didn't necessarily get the finish that we were expecting he was going to. Same can be said for Jessica Shelton, who we'll see in the upcoming second session. Looks like we have cycled through everybody that is here in this first group. Casey Hoyt is right now the fastest driver at a 40.126. Looking to move on to the second round to run for the pole, but maybe more importantly, secure himself at least a starting spot inside of the top 10. Get that good starting track position for tomorrow afternoon's race. Levi McIntyre currently sits second. Chris Dollerton in third. So 3 Fords currently holding down the top 3 positions. Then Cody Lamas and Anthony McCrory jumped up to the 5th position, displacing James Qualls. Qualls is coming back out onto the racetrack here, but I don't think he's got enough time to be able to put down a lap. Looks like Qualls will have to settle for 11th starting spot tomorrow afternoon. Anthony McCurry, I saw, was on pit lane. I believe he is still there. Yep, looks like they're going to settle on that lap time. Matthew Rodriguez, 7th on the board, so he will be 13th in tomorrow's lineup. Reese Banks just ran his fastest lap, but that only secures him 17th place. Right now, it looks like about 3 or 4 drivers of our playoff contenders going to be starting pretty deep in the field. Will Goss is going to be one of them, as he's 21st on the board. Jesse Turner is 22nd. Rob Evans is 18th. Reese Banks 17th. Keith Batson 16th. So that's 5 drivers right there, 5 playoff contenders that are going to start this race from outside of the top 30. Now, there you see the session comes to a close. I was going to say, I didn't think that James Qualls was going to have enough time to at least even start a lap, let alone finish it, to be able to make his way back into the top 5 on the speed charts. So he will have to settle for an 11th place starting position, and these drivers will be running for the pole. Only one of them, at least here in this first group in the first round, a playoff contender, that being Casey Hoyt. Levi McIntyre, Chris Dollerton, Cody Lamas, and Anthony McCurry, who are non-playoff drivers, just looking for checkered flags. For McIntyre, his second. For the other 3, their first of the season. They will all be running for the pole position, joining the Fast 5 from the upcoming second session. But as I said, you look here, here's the rest of your playoff drivers. You got James Qualls 6th, Matthew Rodriguez there in 7th, but he's already locked in the next round. Fogler 9th, LaPlante 10th, Young 11th, Poteet 12th, close proximity for all of them. Bolin 14th, Batson 16th, Banks in 17th, Evans 18th, and then Will Goss and Jesse Turner 21st and 22nd. So they'll be starting very deep in the field, but could be some strategy tomorrow. We understand there's going to be a smaller fuel cell for these drivers, bringing pit road into play a lot more. So we'll have to see how it all pans out. But we continue on qualifying here from Chatham Dirt in just a moment. Group B from round 1, getting ready to head out on the racetrack. Right after this race break, coverage will continue here on SRA TV. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast on NSRA TV. If you enjoyed your watching, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that like button. Also, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to become a part of the NSRA crew today. And if you're on your phone, be sure to click that bell to be notified whenever we have a broadcast here on NSRA TV. Once again, we thank you for your support, and we hope you continue to enjoy today's broadcast. Group B set to head out onto the racetrack here at Chatham Dirt for their 15-minute qualifying session. Fast 5 will join the Fast 5 from the first session to run for the pole position in the upcoming second round. I miscounted. I said 46 drivers were attempting to qualify for the 42 spots. Actually 45 drivers, so 3 drivers will be going home, and you're going to see the 5 non-charter drivers participating here in this second round. I believe off the top of my head, those drivers would include Kyler Sustre, Reggie Fogelman, Nico Servideo, Ralph Mason, and Benjamin Snyder. All 5 of those drivers have obviously made starts this season. Kyler Sustre, a full-time non-charter driver. Reggie Fogelman, only a non-charter driver at this point because of his move over for 5 races to the number 80 out of Haas Racing, though in both of the races he's been in so far for that team, he has qualified inside of the Fast 10 and ran really well last week, actually. We're looking at the 3-time winner, Connor Breton, one of the few playoff contenders that are in this second round. Breton is now on the clock. Connor Breton coming into this race 4th in overall points. He is 12 points ahead of the cut line. One of the few weeks where we're not talking about Connor Breton needing points. And of course trying to eventually make his way up into the Final Four for compete for the championship, making it back-to-back seasons that the 88 car has been able to do so. Jack Dunnard did it in Season 6. Breton sets the tone, 41.378, the first lap time that he will have on the board. A couple of other drivers with some up-to-speed laps there, not official lap times. Reggie Fogelman and Jose Mills, by benefit of them having their pit stalls before the start-finish line, so they cross the line on pit road. Zach Rogers in the 6. 15th in overall points, the playoff drivers. Total of 5 points below the cut line. Very good road course racers, so keep an eye on him tomorrow afternoon. Of course, our winner from Atlanta. Struggled last week, though, finished outside of the top 20, and so he ended up losing 4 spots in the playoff standings, so look to gain them back here this week. Charles Sanford, the defending champion, still looking for that first victory here of Season 7. Charles coming into this race 27th in points, did not have a good run last week as he was pretty much dealing with damage for most of that race after being involved in the big wreck we had over in 3 and 4 at Gateway. There's one of our non-charter drivers, Benjamin Snyder, looking to make his 3rd start on the season. 2 starts so far this year. A top 5 and a top 10, an average finishing position of 9.5 and an average starting position of 8th. So keep an eye on him as he will look to qualify into his 3rd race of the year for Benjamin Snyder Racing. There's Jessica Shelton, the 94. Jess looked like she was going to have a really good run last week. Like for the first 3 quarters of the race, she had worked her way up into the top 15. I think she was around 12th or 13th when the final round of green flag pit stops began, but some issue on pit road, either a mistake by the pit crew, maybe some congestion on pit lane, and she finished way down in the finishing results outside of the top 20. Subsequently, Shelton comes into this race 10th in the overall points, dropped 5 spots in the standings. Currently 4 points to the good above the 12th in standings cut line. Right now she is 6th on the board, ran her fastest lap at a 40.684, trying to beat her teammate Kyle Matthews, who currently holds the 5th spot. Actually, correction, now that would be Nico Servideo, who currently holds the 5th position. Nathan Ormond, last time we were at a road course, it was Watkins Glen, and he used fuel strategy to pick up his first checkered flag of Season 7. Nathan Ormond, of course, as we documented, though, even with that victory, at that point in time, mathematically would not have been able to make his way into the top 30, battle for a playoff spot, so he's just out there trying to get checkered flags for the remainder of Season 7. Right now, he is 9th on the board at a 40.673. Nico Servideo, we were just talking about him jumping up to the 5th spot. He just improved to 2nd, now drops to 3rd at a 40.411. Nico looking to make his 2nd start on the season. Nico, of course, took part in the race at Suzuka for his first career Duracell Next Gen Cup Series start. Finished 21st in that race, though, after a solid 10th place starting spot. Looking to make his second start of his career here this week at Chatham. A couple of Toyotas on pit road there, Ryan Butcher and Matt Haas. We'll get to them in just a few moments as we're looking at Daniel Voiles, the two-time winner from last season, two-time pole sitter this year, but 39th in overall points. 2 top 10s in the season, and those are his only top 5s as well. So looking to finish out the year strong in that single car entry out of World NOS Racing. World NOS Racing looking really good on the Duracell Ultra Light Series side, though, as we saw last week. Kyle Langland get his second win at Gateway. Quentin Moore, right now 12th on the board at a 40.612. No improvement there. Quentin Moore with a really good run last week. I believe he finished up inside of the top 15. Worked his way up through the field as well in that one. Appeared to have a very good long-run car, just didn't have the track position. Quentin comes into this race 30th in the overall point standings. Right behind him is Zachary Fitzwater, a former winner at a road course this year at Mid-Ohio, but unfortunately not high enough in the points for that win to garner him a wild card spot. So Fitzwater looking for his second win on the year. Fitzwater's never had a multi-win season. He had a rookie campaign last year where he had 1 victory at Indianapolis. So far 1 victory this season at Mid-Ohio. Looking for that second victory here in Season 7. Right now 14th on the board for driver 66. Matt McIntyre sits 8th. He just clocked in at a 40.471. His fastest lap of the session so far. Matt McIntyre coming into this one currently situated in the 34th position in points. Lost 2 spots in standings last week after he was involved in that big wreck at Gateway. Kyler Sustre right now 15th on the board. We'll get in a moment to who the top 2 highest running non-charter drivers are. You got to think that obviously Nico Servideo would be one of them, as we saw him up in the top 5 in speeds. Right now Kyler Sustre is 15th at a 40.656, and right behind him, well, actually, he just dropped to 16th because Ralph Mason moved up a spot to 15th place at a 40.644. Ralph Mason looking to make his second start on the year. Of course, made his debut in his only start so far this year at Mid-Ohio, where he brought it home in the 6th position after a 3rd place starting spot. Carson Gum right now is 10th on the board, the former champ, at a 40.478. Carson coming into this race 25th in points after dropping 4 spots in the standings last week. Reggie Fogelman is 8th right now on the board. I believe that would be the second highest of the non-charter drivers. I think it's himself and Nico Servideo who currently hold the final 2 positions in tomorrow's starting lineup. I mentioned about Reggie Fogelman making that swap over for 5 races, starting at Auto Club a couple of weeks ago to the Haas Racing number 80 in preparation for his full-time ride next year with the organization. So we'll see him behind the wheel of the car at Nashville Superspeedway, as well as the first race of the second round of the playoffs, before eventually we'll probably see him moving back over to the 24 at Northeast Motorsports to finish out the year. Fogelman has qualified inside of the top 10 the last 2 weeks in the non-charter capacity, and right now looking like he would qualify into the field yet again. He did drop to 9th just now, though. How about Ryan Butcher? 5th on the board right now, holding on to the final transfer spots into the final round of qualifying. 40.314, what everybody's gunning for currently. That's below that 5th on the charts cut line. Ryan Butcher coming into this race 3rd in overall points for the playoff contenders. Total of 20 points ahead of the cut line. Had that solid top 5 run last week at Gateway. Aside from Matthew Rodriguez, really the strongest playoff car of the night. Joshua Osborne currently in line to move on to the next round of qualifying as he sits 4th at a 40.305. Osborne currently 33rd in overall points. Still looking for that first victory of the season, second of his career. And top of the board right now is this driver, Jose Mills. 40.225 has him in P1. Jose Mills with a great run last week, battling for the race lead for most of the night. Jumped up 3 spots in the standings, 19th in overall points. That's second highest of the non-playoff drivers as he just dropped to second. Ryan Butcher just went to the top of the board at a 40.219. Of course, for Ryan Butcher and the rest of the drivers not named Matthew Rodriguez that are playoff contenders, they want to win their way into the next round. But for Ryan Butcher, he's got a pretty nice cushion, and he would like to build on that. Kyle Matthews, former champion, third on the board at a 40.286, so he is currently positioned to run for the pole if he can stay up in the top 5 for these remaining a little less than 4 minutes. Kyle Matthews coming into this race 40th in overall points. One top 5 in the season, is still looking for that first victory of Season 7 as Nathan Norman's coming to pit road. Nick Gunther, very good road course racer, right now 8th on the charts at a 40.390. We saw him break back into victory lane at the regular season finale at Auto Club. Nick Gunther coming into this race 35th in overall points though, and trying to continue the climb, trying to finish out Season 7 on a strong note in preparation for his first start next year in the newly formed Garage 55 team, the conglomerate effort of the former Gunther Motorsports and Fortnite Squad Racing Technical Alliance. Laura Chung, one win in her career. That was at a road course, Watkins Glen, last season. Right now she's at 17th at a 40.615. Laura Chung coming in this race 36th in points, just trying to finish out the year strong. Going to be returning to Auto Junction Racing next year in the 77, but going to be in that new 2024 Toyota Camry EXE, or XSE, I should say. There's Matt Haas, the defending winner of this race, but it was back when it was paved one season ago. So we'll see what Matt Haas is able to do with the dirt-covered Chatham. Right now he's 11th on the board, a 40.441, which he just ran. See if he can improve on that lap time. Little draft maybe off the 6 of Zach Rogers. I don't really honestly know, being a dirt track, how much draft comes into play here. But let's see if there is any improvement out of the Club 100 Toyota Camry. And there is. He will jump up to 7th. Improves to a .339. Believe we've covered all the drivers here in this qualifying group. Big pack of cars right back here. And for the non-charter drivers, currently, you are looking at Nico Servideo. Actually, correction, he just got displaced down to second fastest, because the fastest would be Reggie Fogelman, who just clocked in at a 40.362. That has him 8th on the board right now. But Nico Servideo would be the second driver that would transfer of the non-charter competitors, as he sits 11th on the board at a 40.411. So as things currently stand, Ralph Mason, Kyler Sustre, and Benjamin Snyder would fail to make the show. Mason currently sitting at a 6.28, Sustre at a 6.56, and Snyder is the slowest so far in this group at a 40.813. Less than a minute to go, and Jose Mills is the fastest here in Group B. 40.109. He leads Ryan Butcher, Kyle Matthews, Zach Rogers, and Joshua Osborne. Matt Haas just jumped up in the running order from 11th to 8th, but not enough to advance in the Fast 5. Laura Chung actually just jumped up to 6th, moving Charles Sanford down to 7th, but Osborne currently still sits on the bubble spot, and I believe he is just around here. Actually, he's on pit road, feeling that he is safe to advance. Kyle Matthews might have actually just, oh no, okay, I thought he just took 3rd from Zach Rogers, but Rogers was already 4th. So we only had one driver of our playoff contenders, that being Casey Hoyt, advance from the first group. Looks like right now 2 drivers would advance from the second group. We had, I think it was 5 playoff drivers advance into the Fast 10 last week at Gateway. Looks like we're going to have as few as 3 playoff drivers advance from both groups here in our qualifying session from Chatham. So that's going to be interesting. Maybe a huge advantage for Butcher, Rogers, and Hoyt, depending on how they do in the upcoming second round. Session should be completing. You're looking at your fastest 3 right there in the same shot. Mills the fastest, Butcher second fastest, and Matthews third fastest. Very congested right there through the S's. As that's Ralph Mason and Carson Gum just up ahead of them as well. Looks like they've done enough to advance into the Fast 5 to run for the pole position. We're just waiting for the session to officially come to a close. Joshua Osborne's team, obviously on pins and needles, saying, come on, it must be over. And looks like it now is. So nothing changed there in that final 3 minutes or so as far as the Fast 5. It will be Mills, Butcher, Matthews, Rogers, and Osborne that will be battling with the other 5 drivers from Group A for the pole position tomorrow afternoon. Laura Chung is going to start, looks like 12th, with Charles Samper 14th, Matt Haas in 16th. Reggie Fogelman will lock himself in as a non-charter driver for the 3rd straight week, as he'll bring it home for the starting lineup in 18th, and Nick Gunther will start 20th. Nico Servideo looks like he will be 24th on tomorrow's starting lineup, but he will make the show for his second start of the season. He'll look for a finish a darn sight better than what he had in his debut at Suzuka. The drivers that will not make it will include your bottom 4, Ralph Mason, Kyler Sustre, and Benjamin Snyder. Looks like for our playoff contenders, we talked about Ryan Butcher, Zach Rogers moving on to the next round. Looks like Jessica Shelton will start 29th. And Connor Breton, as things currently are scored, looks like he would roll off the grid from 35th place. So those 2 drivers are going to have some work to do tomorrow afternoon. They will not have the benefit of really good starting track position, but how important is that going to be? We're going to have to wait and find out. The drivers that qualified up in the Fast 5, they certainly hope it's going to be all about track position because they're in line to have good qualifying efforts here, maybe get that pole spot. They take on the Fast 5 from Group A, and that culminates in our final round of qualifying coming right up after this final race break. Don't go anywhere. We will continue coverage here from Chatham Dirt in just a moment. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast on NNSCRA TV. If you enjoyed your watching, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that like button. Also, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to become a part of the NNSCRA crew today. And if you're on your phone, be sure to click that bell to be notified whenever we have a broadcast here on NNSCRA TV. Once again, we thank you for your support, and we hope you continue to enjoy today's broadcast. Final round of qualifying, the expedited final round of qualifying. I don't know what an expedited is, maybe speed dating. But we're getting ready here for our Fast 5 from our 2 respective groups to run for the pole position here. Jose Mills was the fastest overall of the 10 drivers that are moving on, as a 40.109 was the lap time he put down. Closest to him would be the fastest from Group A, and that would have been Casey Hoyt at a 40.126. Chris Dollerton and Kyle Matthews, a couple of former champs, wasting no time getting out there. Dollerton, the champion from Season 1. Kyle Matthews, the co-champion from Season 5. Both those drivers were 3rd in their respective groups. Dollerton in Group A and Matthews in Group B. Looking down the list here of the drivers that moved on to this round that are former pole sitters. Casey Hoyt is looking for his 2nd pole. Ryan Butcher is looking for his 3rd. Jose Mills is looking for his 2nd. Chris Dollerton looking for his 2nd. Anthony McCrory is looking for his 2nd. Joshua Osborne is looking for his 2nd. And I believe, yep, that is all the drivers that have formally won a pole. So that would leave Levi McIntyre, Cody Lamas, Zach Rogers, and Kyle Matthews, who are looking for their 1st of the season. only 3 playoff contenders advancing here into this final round of qualifying when we had 5 of them qualify in last week at Gateway. So they're going to have a pretty big advantage track position-wise and points-wise. And you consider the fact that Casey Hoyt and Ryan Butcher specifically coming into this race are 2nd and 3rd in the overall playoff points, the 2 highest of the drivers that have not yet advanced because Matthew Rodriguez is already locked into the round of 12 via his win last week at Gateway. Big opportunity for those drivers to be able to build the cushion between themselves and that 12th and the standings cut line. It is possible mathematically, if a driver has a good enough performance in the first 2 races and has not gone to victory lane, that they could lock themselves into the next round just on points alone. And both those drivers would love to have that kind of a scenario going into Nashville Superspeedway next week. As you see already, more than half of our session is gone. Dallerton currently 4th on the board. The fastest driver currently was Casey Hoyt, but no longer. It's actually Cody Lamas, 40.339 for Cody. Osborne has checked in at 3rd behind Casey Hoyt. Dallerton 4th and McCurry is 5th. Let's see if there's an improvement this time out of Cody Lamas. Yes, there is. 39.924 for Cody. And that is the fastest lap of the entire afternoon, as no driver had been able to breach past a 40-second lap time. So Cody Lamas bringing out the speed here in the closing stages of this qualifying session. I will be honestly shocked if anybody's able to beat that lap time. That is a flyer. Next closest to him right now, it would be Joshua Osborne at a 40.007. Almost breaking into the 39s. Oh, somebody beat it. The track's been getting faster, obviously. And Cody just beat them back. I don't know who it was that was at the top of the board. It was Ryan Butcher with a 39.893, and Cody Lamas just clocked in at a 39.717. So it seems like the longer that this session has gone on, the more grip, amazingly, the track has gained, because we were nowhere close to breaching 39-second lap times in either of our first groups in the first round. I talked about the scenarios there for Ryan Butcher and Casey Hoyt, as Cody improved again, 39.602, so that might have just iced it with 20 seconds left. Cody looking for his first pole of the season. I think he very well might get it. But Zach Rogers, who currently sits 5th on the board, this is going to be good starting track position for him tomorrow too. One of the drivers that was below the cut line by 5 points. He will more than likely, when the live point standings begin at the green flag dropping tomorrow afternoon, he will actually be above the cut line. Ryan Butcher just improved as well, but to a 39.802. That is 2/10 off of Cody Lamas, who might be able to run another lap right here, and he will, and he improves again. 39.549 for the Carvana Chevrolet out of Llama Racing. I don't know what adjustment they made between the first and this second session. I don't even know if maybe they didn't make any adjustments and it's just the track has rubbered in and found more grip. But this car, if they don't change it tomorrow, it's going to be a rocket ship from the pole. I mean, he is 2.5 tenths faster than the next car behind him. There's no way he improves again. Well, he's not going to because scoring has stopped. Cody Lamas freezes the field with a 39.549. We're just waiting for session to officially close. Looks like Ryan Butcher will share the front row with him, so he'll be the highest starter of our playoff contenders, as there it is. Session is concluded. And here's a look at who the top 10 starters will be in tomorrow's race here from Chatham. Cody Lamas' Chevrolet, that lap time, holy cow, look at the difference between him and second Ryan Butcher. That's over 2.5 tenths right there. Butcher, though, will share the front row. Joshua Osborne and Anthony McCurry are going to be in row number 2. Casey Hoyt will roll off the grid from 5th alongside of Kyle Matthews. Zach Rogers will be 7th with Levi McIntyre, and then a couple of Blue Oval Automotive Fords will make up row 5 with Jose Mills and Chris Dollerton. But Butcher will be 2nd, Hoyt 5th, and Rogers 7th. For our playoff contenders in tomorrow's starting lineup, they'll have the advantage over the other 16. Let's try that again. Over the other 13 drivers that have not yet locked themselves into the playoffs. Be interesting to see how it all works out tomorrow afternoon. Chatham was a good race last year, but it was the paved version. Now it's the dirt track version. That throws a little caveat, a little curveball in there for all drivers, playoff and non-playoff alike. But congratulations to Cody Lamas. I cannot wait to see how that car fires off tomorrow afternoon with the lap time he was able to put down here in this final round of qualifying. Hope you guys will join us for that. It's just the Cup cars this week. Duracell Lights will be back next week in the doubleheader at Nashville Super Speedway. So until tomorrow afternoon's race here for the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best.